Glitched Out Book 3. Chapter 1. The Static in the Trees. The woods should have smelled like pine and mud. Instead, they reeked of burnt plastic and ozone. Static clung to the air like invisible cobwebs, crackling between the trees in soft pops that made Ichigo's fur bristle. The sky was a muted bruise of gray and green, flickering in places like an old CRT screen trying, and failing, to hold a signal. The man walked in silence, sword strapped across his back, the leather grip worn to a shine from the battles before. His boots sank slightly into the mossy ground, each step disturbing a ripple of pixelated distortion across the soil. Glitch vines pulsed nearby, snaking up tree trunks, looping around branches like corrupted ivy. Sometimes they twitched. He kept one hand on Ichigo's collar, not out of control but connection. The Shiba Inu moved with cautious grace, hackles high, golden eyes sharp, his snout twitching as if sniffing more than just air. Energy, memory, echoes of something wrong. Then he saw it. Tucked between the gnarled trees, half swallowed by roots and decay, stood an impossible sight, a game haven store, the exact chain that had vanished from cities decades ago. The sign above the cracked glass door still flickered in faded red neon, half spelling its name, G-E-H-A-N. "No way," he murmured. Ichigo let out a low, warning growl. A ripple of pixel static danced along his fur, highlighting the faint blue glow at his paws, a residual charge from his last power-up. He pawed the ground once, hard. The man crouched beside him. "It's not just a mirage, huh, buddy?" Ichigo didn't respond. He just stared at the door. The store was wrong. Not just old, not just broken. It pulsed with presence, like it had been dreaming all this time and just now awoken. The air grew heavier with each step closer. His breath fogged even though it wasn't cold. He reached for the door handle. It opened before he touched it. The lights inside flared to life, dim and flickering like a haunted memory. Shelves leaned like broken teeth, rows of shattered jewel cases and game boxes. Cartridge guts spilled from ripped cardboard. Every few feet, static buzzed across the floor tiles like spilled mercury. And then he saw it, the power rack. A wall display intact, black glass, 8 pedestals. Only one item remained on it, a cartridge the size of a VHS tape pulsing with amber light. It hummed at a low frequency that buzzed in his skull. The title read, "Charger, Power-Up Static Overdrive." Behind him, the store door slammed shut with a mechanical finality. A whisper echoed through the aisles, not words but the garbled crunch of a corrupted voice channel. And then the lights shifted, red, warning red. From the far end of the store, a shape emerged, thin, twitching, wearing what looked like a ruined store clerk vest. Its face was a flat panel of flickering glitch code, shifting every half-second between corrupted game characters and screaming static. The clerk glitch lunged. The man pulled his sword from his back in one fluid motion, just as Ichi darted left to flank. The clerk's limbs bent wrong, snapping forward like puppet arms caught in a feedback loop. Steel met static. Sparks flew in arcs of yellow and green. The man gritted his teeth as he slashed low, connecting with what should have been a shin, except the glitch warped, body splintering into dozens of pixels before reforming behind him. It moved too fast, too erratically. Code spasms made its body flicker in and out of this dimension. Ichigo barked, leaped, and his jaws clamped around the clerk's arm. But the limb exploded into data shards, flinging the Shiba into a display of shattered SNES carts. "Ichigo!" He scrambled to his feet just in time to dodge another blow. His sword wasn't working like before. Not here, not against this thing. The power-up. He sprinted for the charger cartridge, diving past a writhing nest of glitch tendrils snaking up from the floor tiles. The glitch clerk screeched, white noise that made blood drip from his ears. He grabbed the cartridge. Everything stopped. A blinding pulse of static shot through him. His body spasmed, nerves hijacked, vision inverted. For a moment he saw code, rows of it, floating like scripture carved into the void. Then silence. He opened his eyes. His sword had changed, sleeker, humming with flickering yellow arcs. His fingers tingled with electrical charge. Beside him, Ichigo stood up, eyes glowing like twin light bulbs, tail rigid, teeth bared. The man whispered, "Static overdrive, let's fry this bastard." They moved in tandem. Ichigo zipped forward in a blur of lightning, faster than he'd ever moved before. He left trails of static with each bound, crashing into the clerk like a thunderbolt. At the same time, the man's blade cut through the glitch matter with new resistance, like slicing melted plastic and metal at once. Sparks exploded with each hit. The glitch screamed, glitching through a dozen old mascot voices, Pac-Man, Sonic, Mario, then demonic silence. One final blow, sword infused with static, Ichigo's charge leaping up the blade, and the man drove it into the clerk's chest. A sound like a dial-up modem dying echoed out. The clerk glitch burst, pixel by pixel, dissolving into a cloud of harmless code rain. Silence fell again. The store lights flickered, then shut off. The door creaked open on its own. Ichigo sat down and let out a puff of breath. The man leaned on his sword, blinking away static from his vision. He glanced at the empty power rack, then at his sword. It hummed quietly. "Guess we're not done yet," he said. Outside the trees waited, but they were shifting now, watching. And somewhere, deep in the woods, someone else had noticed the power had changed hands. Chapter 2: Moonlight and Wires. The forest had gone too quiet. No bugs, no wind, not even the creak of shifting trees. Just the sound of footsteps, his and Ichigo's, crunching softly over dry leaves and warped pixels scattered like digital dust. Above them, the moon hung low and heavy, swollen like a bruised eye. It cast sharp silver shadows across the forest floor, slicing through the trees like glowing blades. The vines here pulsed less frequently, as if something nearby had frightened even the corruption. The man walked slowly, blade in hand now, humming with faint static. The air buzzed faintly around it like a charge waiting to strike. Ichigo moved ahead of him, silent but alert, tail stiff, nose twitching in the cold air. His coat shimmered faintly with residual power from the last battle, but the glow didn't comfort either of them. Then they heard it. Not a growl, not a snarl, but a wet, mechanical clicking, like a hard drive skipping, mixed with the sound of animal joints cracking in the wrong direction. The man stopped. Ichigo's ears perked. He turned his head, not fast, not frantic, just deliberate, focused. Something was watching them. Something plural. From the underbrush ahead, a shape moved, low, fast, and wrong. Then another, then two more. Eyes hidden behind white fabric, tightly wrapped and soaked with static. Their heads twitched at odd angles and metal wires trailed from their skulls like fraying nerves. Teeth, jagged, uneven, blood-streaked, snapped as they tasted the air. Glitchlings. But these weren't the ones from before. They were bigger now, thicker in the shoulders, hunched and limber like starving hyenas. Each of them moved on all fours, but not like wolves, like corrupted animals trying to imitate them, skittering with digital stutters. The man backed up slowly, raising the sword. It hummed louder in response to the threat. "Easy," he said under his breath. "We've done this before." Ichigo growled, a deep sound he rarely used. It came from his chest, low and guttural. He was ready. But the glitchlings didn't charge. They circled. One moved to the left, its back leg dragging like something broken. Another moved right, tilting its head sideways in a full 90-degree arc with a hideous series of bone-snapping clicks. One crawled close. Too close. Without warning, it pounced. The man swung the sword upward in a hard arc, steel and static colliding with corrupted flesh. The blade connected. A spray of data blood burst out like black mist shot through with red wire fragments. The creature screamed, a digital, garbled shriek that echoed across the trees. Before he could brace, two more lunged. One hit him full in the ribs, sending him sprawling to the ground, blade tumbling just out of reach. Teeth snapped inches from his throat. Ichigo hit the beast midair with a body slam that cracked ribs. His fangs dug into its shoulder, biting deep. Sparks flew. He twisted violently, slamming it to the ground with brute instinct, pinning it with his front paws as he savaged its throat. The creature convulsed, then dissolved into glitch mist. But the others kept coming. The man rolled, barely avoiding another lunge, and snatched up his sword from the dirt. He rose in time to slice clean through a glitchling's spine, white fabric headband fluttering as it was cleaved in two. He didn't pause. He turned and slammed the hilt into the next one's eye socket, if that's what it had. The bandage soaked through instantly, and the creature howled like a glitched cassette tape rewinding too fast. Another pounced from behind. Too late. Ichigo darted beneath it, a blur of fur and fury, and launched himself upward like a bolt of muscle and vengeance. He sank his teeth into its underbelly and pulled. It shrieked, rolled, then slammed into a tree. The man's breath came fast now. 3 more remained. Their growls synced, clicks in unison, heads twitching together. Then they charged all at once. The sword lit up. He spun, blade arcing in a full circle, slicing through the first with a hiss of smoke and neon gore. The second latched onto his forearm, biting down with metal-fused fangs that cut through his coat and into skin. He didn't scream. He drove the blade into its mouth, right through the skull. It died twitching. Ichigo met the last one head-on. They collided midair, teeth to teeth, fur to sinew. No barking, just impact. Ichigo twisted, landed hard, and flipped the creature over using momentum. Then, without hesitation, he bit into its neck and ripped. The silence that followed was louder than the chaos. Breathless, the man sank to his knees. Ichigo padded over, muzzle bloody, tongue lolling, tail wagging just once before stilling again. They locked eyes. "Good," the man said, voice hoarse. "Real good." He looked around at the battlefield, what remained of it. The bodies had already started to dissolve into pixel fog, vanishing like corrupted files being erased. The smell lingered, though burnt copper and digital rot. Above them the moon watched. Far away, somewhere deeper in the woods, something stirred. Something bigger. And it knew now, the hunt had begun again. Chapter 3. Firelight and Blood Pixels. The fire crackled low, lazy sparks flicking upward and disappearing into the cool night air. The man sat on a log blackened by time and weather, his sword resting beside him in the dirt, tip buried just enough to hold steady. Ichigo was curled nearby, his small body rising and falling in the rhythm of dreamless sleep, paws twitching every now, and then in response to ghosts only he could see. Above, the moon had shifted behind thin clouds, casting the woods in a pale, haunted glow. For the first time in days, there were no threats. No distortions. Just wind through digital trees and the soft, hollow pop of burning bark. The man leaned back, elbows on his knees, and stared into the fire, not at it, through it, as if beyond the flame something older waited, memory, echoes, safer things. His mind drifted. Monster Party. The NES cartridge had been old when he played it. Hand-me-down, the label half torn. He remembered the janky box art, a grinning kid with a bat, a monster behind him. The cover didn't match the game at all, but the game, that was unforgettable. He smiled faintly. The first few levels had been silly, weird even, enemies like a giant fried shrimp or a haunted pumpkin. The tone was playful, cartoonish, harmless. But then, that one moment, the screen had flashed like a system glitch. The music changed, slowed, warped. The colors went dark. Blood red oozed from the walls. Eyes blinked in the background. The friendly world was gone, replaced with death masks and moaning sprites. And his character, Mark, had transformed. A boy no more. Now a fanged, winged dragon thing, something alien, something powerful. That transformation had burned into his memory. A turning point. As a kid, it had made him feel like anything could shift in an instant. The rules could break. The cute could become cruel. The known could become other. He poked at the fire with a stick, absently. Sparks scattered like fireflies made of code. "I didn't know it back then," he murmured, "but that game was a warning." Ichigo stirred but didn't wake. The man leaned back against a tree, finally letting his body relax into the moment. His muscles ached. His ribs still burned from the glitchling's bite, but there was something sacred about this stillness. Something almost human. The wind moved again. Colder this time. A whisper through the branches. Then snap. A loud crack of wood behind him. Instant. Reflex. He was on his feet, sword drawn, firelight catching the edge of the blade like lightning frozen in midair. Ichigo jumped up with a low growl, body shifting from sleep to battle mode in half a breath. Silence again. Too silent. The man's heart pounded, not fast but deep, heavy. He turned slowly, scanning the tree line. Nothing. Yet. But the woods no longer felt still. They were waiting again. Watching. Like the game, right before the screen changed. Right before the shift. Chapter 4, Run Program, Redline. The second snap wasn't a branch. It was a scream. Digital, distant, guttural, like a hard drive shrieking in agony through a throat full of blood. It came from the east, behind a wall of trees, echoed by static that rolled over the forest like thunder from broken speakers. The man turned toward the sound. But the fire, the moment of peace, was already gone. The trees began to flicker. Not with wind. With compression artifacts. The bark on trunks pixelated, then sharpened again. Leaves danced as though caught in an invisible data stream, fluttering in patterns that made no natural sense. Ichigo let out a low, frantic growl. And the world cracked. A tree beside them exploded, not with fire but with distortion. It bent outward, bark splitting into raw binary digits that cascaded like sparks. Something had entered. The man didn't wait. Go. He grabbed Ichigo by the harness and ran, boots smashing through wet leaves and crackling vines. Behind him, the world warped, trees stretched taller than they should, trails looped back on themselves, and shadows crawled the wrong way. He didn't look back. Because whatever it wasn't chasing. It was rewriting the map behind them. He sprinted harder, lungs burning, the sword heavy in his grip. Ichigo kept pace effortlessly, paws barely touching the ground as they moved like a single unit, two fragments of reality tearing through unreality. A sign blurred past. A shape. Something wooden. There. The man vaulted over a fallen log, slid down a narrow slope slick with wet glitch moss, and collided with an old ranger cabin half buried in vines. Its roof had caved in. Windows were shattered. A door hung from a single hinge. He kicked it open anyway. They crashed inside. Darkness, dust, the bitter tang of mildew and rot. The world outside screamed again, high-pitched, closer. He slammed the door and dragged a rusted metal filing cabinet in front of it, wedging it into place. Breathless, jaw clenched, sweat rolling down his neck. Only then did he dare look out the cracked glass of the front window. Nothing. Just trees. Too still. Ichigo whined. The man turned. And that's when he saw it. A glowing red box tucked in the corner near an overturned desk. A dusty sign hung crookedly above it, "Emergency Data Cache." The box pulsed with a deep, rhythmic thrum, like a dormant heart monitor waking up. Faint letters flickered on its surface. "Run program, redline. Power-up initiated." Ichigo approached, nose twitching. The moment he touched it with a paw, it flared open. The room exploded with light and code. Thin lines of data coiled upward like ghostly serpents, wrapping around Ichigo's body. The light became heat, then charge. His body lifted slightly off the ground, suspended. His eyes burned brilliant crimson. His fur shimmered, pulsed with heat ripples, then darkened slightly at the edges like carbon scoring. When he dropped back down, he didn't whimper. He growled. Low, controlled, dangerous. Red sparks danced at his paws, and with a blink, he was gone, blurred into a flash step, only to reappear on the other side of the cabin in less than a second. The man blinked. What the hell was that? The screen above the red cache flickered. Power-up unlocked. Redline Ichigo. Skill, blink burst, move faster than a corrupted signal. Leave heat trails that burn through glitch matter. Ichigo stood tall now. Tail straight. Eyes alert. And outside, they were still coming. The woods around the cabin shifted again. The screaming was closer. No more distortion. This was physical now. Something big was moving, brushing through trees with the weight of something ancient and mechanical. But they were ready now. The man gripped his sword. Ichigo crouched, red sparks building beneath his paws. Outside, the forest screamed. Inside, a man and his dog stood their ground. Chapter 5. The deer named Jerry. The door behind them sealed with a hiss, metal scraping against metal, in a final, resonant clang that echoed deeper than it should have, like a sound dropped into a canyon of memory. They were no longer in the ranger cabin. The walls had changed. The interior now resembled a warped subterranean bunker, overrun with vines that flickered with scanline static. The wooden floors became slick black tiles, some raised, others sunken. Everything felt symmetrical but slightly wrong, off by a pixel or two. The man narrowed his eyes. This wasn't here before. Ichigo blinked through the air in a red blur, reappearing beside a glyph carved into the floor. 3 triangles fused together, a callback to something older, familiar. The music changed, not real music, but a slow, ambient droning sound. Eerie chimes laced with reversed notes, like a corrupted game cartridge trying to load dungeon ambience. "This is a puzzle," he muttered, scanning the room. The floor tiles flickered beneath his boots. He stepped on one, and the wall ahead shimmered. Behind him, Ichigo pawed at a vine-covered panel, revealing a mural, a crude pixel map of the layout, twisted into something that resembled a glitched Triforce maze. They had entered a dungeon, and something waited inside. They moved cautiously through the puzzle hall. Doors wouldn't open until colored symbols were activated in sequence, some buried under corrupted moss, others revealed only when Ichigo used his blink burst to burn away glitch mold. At one point, a wall rotated to reveal a fake exit. Then a scream played. Not a real scream. A digital voice, distorted beyond recognition. "I am Jerry." Then silence. The temperature dropped. The next door opened by itself. The chamber inside was round, dark, echoing. And standing in the center, bathed in a shaft of moonlight filtered through a cracked ceiling of glitched roots, was the creature. A deer. But wrong. Its fur flickered between textures, forest brown, static gray, bone white. Its legs were too long. Its hooves sparked where they touched the floor. And its antlers were enormous, branching out like corrupted lightning bolts, each tip flickering in and out of existence. Segments of its body popped like broken polygons. Its head twitched unnaturally. Its voice emerged in a painful glitching loop. I'm Jerry, welcome to my level." Then its antlers ignited in electric sparks. The man barely brought his sword up before the creature charged. It moved like light, a blur of bones and pixels. The impact sent him flying against the wall, ribs rattling. Sparks shot from his back where his coat met the glitched stone. Ichigo flashed forward, biting down on the deer's flank, but it shimmered, disappeared, then reappeared behind him in mid-kick. Ichigo was slammed sideways, rolling but landing on all fours. The man staggered to his feet. The deer's voice warped again. "You don't belong here." Its antlers twisted like TV antennas mid-static storm. The vines around the room reacted, lashing out in arcs of green code. The entire chamber became hostile. The man darted forward, sword glowing with static. He slashed. The blade hit, but passed through a phase-shifted version of the deer. It flickered like a hologram for half a second, then rematerialized beside him and stabbed its antlers into the floor. The earth cracked. Corrupted data vines erupted like serpents, dragging the man toward the center. He roared, slicing through 1, 2, 3 vines, gritting his teeth as the fourth coiled around his ankle. "Ichigo now." Ichigo blurred, a red streak, and reappeared above the deer's head, spinning in midair. Blink burst heat trail. The deer looked up too late. Ichigo slammed down on its skull, paws glowing red-hot. Sparks exploded across its antlers. The air split open. The man leapt up, slashing downward in one massive overhead arc. The sword met bone in corruption. The deer screamed again, this time clearly. "Jerry!" And it exploded into fragments of polygons, code strings, and glitch light. The room stopped flickering. The vines retracted. The music faded. And for just a moment, an impossibly small moment, the world felt still again. The man panted, lowering his sword. He looked at Ichigo. "You okay?" Ichigo barked once. Above them, the mural of the dungeon flickered one last time, then shattered. Only one word floated midair. "Congratulations." Then a door opened on the far wall, glowing with soft white light. But they both knew it was just the next level. Chapter 6: The Why. They walked without speaking. The firelight from before was long gone, replaced by the soft silver wash of moonlight threading through the branches above. The trees weren't glitching now. Not tonight. They stood still and tall like old sentinels, leaves rustling gently in a breeze that smelled like moss, loam, and faint ozone. Crickets chirped from somewhere unseen. A tree frog croaked its slow, guttural call. An owl hooted once, distant, as if warning something deeper in the forest not to stir. The man kept one hand resting on the hilt of his sword, not out of fear but habit. His eyes scanned the path ahead, but his mind was somewhere else. Every step felt heavier with questions. "Why?" he finally said aloud. Ichigo walked beside him, ears perked, tail swaying lightly. Not responding, just listening the way he always did. The man exhaled through his nose. "Why is everything broken?" The forest gave no reply. The glitching had started quietly. Background stuff. A flickering lamppost. A dog barking in reverse. His own reflection lagging in the mirror for a half-second too long. He remembered those moments now, in hindsight, like breadcrumbs leading to this corrupted trail. He looked at Ichigo. "You ever wonder why it's us, out of everyone?" Ichigo didn't answer, but his pace slowed, matching the tone, matching the weight. "I didn't ask for this," the man said. "Didn't sign up for this sword, these monsters, that deer thing, freaking Jerry. What the hell even was that?" The woods rustled. A twig snapped underfoot, but only from his own step. "I mean, who is the glitch master?" he continued, softer now. "Some freak in a basement, a god, a virus. Why does he want these power-ups? Why build all this like some twisted video game? Why me?" The question hung in the air. A second owl called, a reply to the first. The forest felt older in that moment, almost wise. He clenched his fists. Is this even real? Or did I get fried playing a cartridge that shouldn't have worked and now I'm just stuck in the coma dream of a dying brain? Ichigo bumped his leg gently. Not a full nuzzle. Just a reminder, you're still here. The man looked up. The stars bled faint through breaks in the leaves. A shooting pixel, not a star, streaked across the sky, trailing soft scanlines in its wake. He stopped walking. They stood in a small clearing now, grass grown high, dotted with old stone steps that led nowhere. From the edge of the trees, a firefly blinked once, then another. Then a dozen. Tiny glowing dots pulsed in unison. The man let out a slow breath. I keep thinking maybe there's a reason, some big revelation waiting at the end of all this, a final level, a truth behind the code. He looked down at Ichigo. The red in his fur still shimmered faintly with power. But what if there is? What if we're just broken things fighting other broken things in a broken world? Crickets continued their song. The night didn't care. And still he walked. Because questions didn't stop the shadows from creeping. And something was still watching them. Chapter 7, Green Means Go. The green light pulsed low on the horizon, glowing like the last heartbeat of a dying city. It wasn't flickering like corrupted pixels. It didn't waver like a mirage. It just sat there steady, unnatural, calling. The man saw it just after they cleared the forest ridge, standing at the top of a long hill where the trees thinned into raw earth and shadow. From here, the land dropped into a dark valley, choked in fog and digital debris. And beyond it, the light, emerald alive. He didn't know what it was, but he knew what it meant. It's either the end of this, he muttered, or the beginning of something worse. Ichigo stood beside him, ears forward, body rigid. He could feel it too, the pressure in the air, like a storm building behind glass. They started down the hill. The path twisted through old asphalt, cracked and overgrown. A playground faded in and out of focus on their left, broken swings swinging on their own, chains glitching mid-motion. Then the world shivered. The ground beneath their feet rippled like a disturbed pond. They stopped. A deep, low growl echoed from everywhere and nowhere. The fog ahead twisted, stretched, and then burst outward. From it stepped a massive creature, easily 20 feet tall, wide like a garbage truck, walking on 4 insectoid legs that buzzed with static. Its body was shaped like an upright arcade cabinet, screen flickering with jagged animations of screaming faces. Long, twitching cords trailed from its back like a half-digested power strip. Its face, if you could call it that, was a melting cluster of game logos. Contra, Punch-Out, Excitebike, all twitching in endless loops, stitched together with noise. It roared. No, it played a sound like someone hitting every arcade button at once on a corrupted machine. Deafening, glitchy, rapid-fire explosions of distorted music. The man stepped in front of Ichigo. Get ready. The creature lunged, legs smashing the ground like seismic pistons. He rolled to the side, blade drawn, slashing at a trailing cable, but it passed through the air like a projection. Not real. Or maybe too real. He slashed again, hit sparks. The thing screamed in reverse. Then, it shattered. Like glass under pressure, its body broke apart, not in dust or shards, but into hundreds of smaller versions of itself, each one about 2 feet tall, their faces identical, their screeches identical. And they all came forward. A swarm. Crawling, climbing, clicking, screeching. Oh hell! He turned to Ichigo. But the dog was already glowing. His body pulsed with a red-hot burn, fur lifting with static. Sparks danced across his paws, his eyes narrowed, burning crimson. Then he vanished. A red streak. Another. And another. Faster than the eye could track, Ichigo blinked across the battlefield like a glitching cursor in a speedrun. Each impact exploded with radiant energy. Blink burst after blink burst, each one melting 3, 5, 10 glitchlings into red-black mist. The man ducked as one leapt past his shoulder, just in time for Ichigo to teleport through it, leaving only smoke and screaming fragments. The swarm tried to adapt, tried to shift formation, but it was too late. Ichigo's body stopped midair, suspended, trembling with overcharge. Then he unleashed it. Red line, system overload. From his chest, a ring of red energy exploded outward in every direction. A pulse so pure it burned through the corrupted ground, through fog, through trees. Every glitchling within 50 feet detonated, vanishing in a chorus of dying code screams. Silence followed. Dust settled. Only the red glow of Ichigo remained, smoldering like a coal in the dark. The man stepped forward, panting. Holy damn! Ichigo limped over, tired but proud, tail low, ears up. The man kneeled. That was something else. Behind them, the green light flickered again. Stronger now. Closer. It knows we're coming, he whispered. Chapter 8, The Dying Name. The green light wasn't a structure. It was a signal. They crested the last rise and stood before it, an old, weather-worn metal pole, maybe 30 feet high, stuck deep into the cracked ground. At the top, a glass dome glowed with soft emerald light, rotating slowly like the beacon of a forgotten lighthouse. It hummed low, constant, a sound you didn't hear so much as feel in your teeth. Beside it stood a tent. Canvas, military style, half collapsed on one side. A small solar panel blinked uselessly on a nearby crate. Empty food tins lay scattered. A radio antenna extended from the tent's peak, bent and fraying. The man slowed. Ichigo did too, limping slightly from the last battle, but still sharp, ears forward. This could be a trap, the man said under his breath. He raised his sword. They approached. The green light bathed the area in an unnatural glow, distorting shadows. The tent flap moved slightly in the breeze. Crickets had gone quiet again. He stepped forward and opened the flap. And froze. Inside, sprawled on a blanket soaked with blood and static, lay a young man no older than 20, gaunt, eyes wide with pain and determination. His skin glitched faintly at the edges, like he was fatting between layers of reality. A piece of rebar jutted from his side, crusted with black-red code. He looked up when he heard them. Tried to sit up. Failed. The man knelt. Hey, easy, you're what happened. The stranger gave a weak smile. His voice was cracked, barely a whisper. Didn't think anyone else made it this far. Ichigo sniffed him gently, then sat down beside the cot. The stranger reached out with a trembling hand. I'm Valor. The name hit like a bell struck in a long-forgotten cathedral. It didn't belong in this world. It belonged in myths. The man blinked. You've been fighting the glitch master. Valor nodded. Blood bubbled at the corner of his mouth. Longer than I remember. Thought I was the only one, but then I saw your fight, the light, the dog, red line. His eyes flicked to Ichigo. Beautiful power. The man leaned closer. Where is he? Where's the glitch master? Valor coughed. His body glitched again, briefly transforming into static bones before stabilizing. He's moving west, gathering fragments, broken systems. He's rebuilding something, a tower, a throne of corrupted memory. The man felt cold. And I was so close, Valor wheezed. The man grabbed his hand. You're not done, you're not alone anymore. Valor smiled, fading fast now. Then tell me before I go, who are you? The man hesitated. For the first time in days, the question wasn't metaphorical. He started to speak, voice low. My name is... But Vaylor's eyes had already gone glassy. Still open. Still waiting. But gone. The tent was silent. Only the green light continued spinning outside, casting slow waves of emerald across the corpse of a warrior who had once fought this same terrible fight. Alone, unseen, and now forgotten. Ichigo let out a single low whine. The man closed Vaylor's eyes, gently, with fingers that didn't shake but should have. Then he stood, looked to the west, and the wind carried the signal of something terrible and ancient, humming just beyond the hills. Chapter 9, Lionheart and Layout. Morning never truly came. Just a lighter shade of darkness filtered through the glitchy clouds. The green light finally died behind them, its hum silenced like a heart gone still. They left Vaylor beneath the canvas with what dignity they could offer. No grave, no headstone, just a folded blanket over his chest and a faint whisper of gratitude in the wind. The man said nothing as they walked. Ichigo didn't ask. They followed a worn dirt path lined with half-corrupted trees, the ground crackling underfoot with buried data clusters. And then, just past a broken trail marker shaped like a melted mailbox, they found it. The battlefield. The remnants of Vaylor's last stand. It sat in the middle of a clearing scorched black. Ashes still glowed in places. A corrupted tree leaned over, dripping code like sap. Bits of armor lay scattered, fused with melted glitch creatures, some recognizable as the same beasts the man had fought. Others were bigger, deadlier. And at the center of the field, lodged in a blackened patch of dirt like a relic in a shrine, lay a metal shield. Small, circular. A lion's head stared outward from its surface, proud, fierce, roaring in silence. The craftsmanship was impossible, not high-tech, not glitch-born. This was old world, mythic. The man stepped forward, crouched, and touched it. It was warm, almost alive. When he lifted it, something clicked. The back of the shield had a mechanical grip that rotated slightly, and with a flick, it snapped to his back, magnetized and seamless. He stood slowly. The weight felt right. The lion faced the world behind him. Lionheart, he murmured, that's what you were, Vaylor. Ichigo padded over and barked once, sharp, urgent. The man turned. Near the burned campfire, something had been left behind. A folded parchment. He picked it up carefully, edges crisp, almost preserved by intention. When he opened it, his breath caught in his throat. It was a map, drawn in the style of old NES magazine inserts. The grid was tiled like an 8-bit overworld, with rough mountains and lakes marked in boxy, charming pixels. Towns were labeled with little icons, but large parts of it were torn away, replaced by static overlays and glitch patches. The western edge was dominated by one shape, a twisted, rising tower wrapped in tendrils of corrupted lines, scribbled over in black marker. Glitch Tower. Beneath it, scrawled in Vaylor's own handwriting. Everything ends here, or begins again. The man sat on a nearby stone, laying the map across his knee. He stared at the fractured terrain, corrupted forests, an abandoned city labeled Neon Haven, a glitch crater labeled the Void Pit. He traced a finger along the narrow trail leading west. They had a path now. Okay, he said, speaking mostly to himself. We use the high pass, skirt the edge of the Void Pit, camp at the old rail station. If this tower's real, we'll find it. Ichigo let out a low huff and dropped a cracked power cell at his feet, something salvaged from a fallen drone. Ready. The man smiled faintly. He looked down at the map again. The art style was simple, almost joyful. So much hope in a hand-drawn thing, even in a dying world. All right, buddy, he whispered, folding the map and sliding it into the pouch on his belt. Let's finish what Vaylor started. They turned west, toward the tower, and the shadows moved with them. Chapter 10, The Mirror of Before. They hit the rail station just after dusk. Or what passed for dusk in this broken world? The old platform was a shattered mess of flickering overhead lights and twisted rails, coiled like metallic serpents. Digital mist clung low to the ground, pulsing softly in rhythmic beats, as if the station still remembered its schedule. Then the hissing started. The man froze. Ichigo bared his teeth, fur prickling with static. From the far end of the tracks, emerging one by one through the haze, came glitchhounds, four-legged things made of spine and static, their bodies pulsing with blue fire and their mouths lined with jagged digitized teeth. Their eyes were voids, empty sockets dripping lines of broken code. They ran like wolves, but hit like machines. Move! The man dove behind a rusted train car just as one hound exploded through the wall, teeth first. Ichigo blinked out of the way, reappearing midair and slamming one beast into the tracks with a blink-burst spin. Another came from the side. The man pivoted, ducked low, slashed upward. The static blade caught it mid-jaw, severing its head in a burst of red pixels and sparks. A third lunged from the roof of a derailed engine. Too fast. But not for Ichigo. Blink, burst, burn. The Shiba launched through the beast like a missile of fury and flame, trailing crimson sparks. It landed in pieces before it even hit the ground. But more were coming. Dozens. They surrounded the platform, crawling over shattered ticket booths and busted vending machines. The whole pack circled, coordinated, crackling as one. Time to get clever, the man growled. He backpedaled to the edge of the tracks, raising his sword not to strike, but to draw a line in the ground. A crack of electricity followed the blade's path. Then he grabbed a busted signal box and jammed it into a corroded power relay. Sparks ignited. "Come on, boys," he whispered. "Fetch." The first glitchhound charged, stepped on the line, and triggered the arc. Boom! An electrical blast surged across the rail, overloading the entire system. Light poles burst. Sparks cascaded like fireworks. The closest 6 hounds ignited mid-sprint, rolling into heaps of molten code and static. The pack hesitated. That was all Ichigo needed. He blurred across the platform, a glowing blur of red fury, and pinned 2 more glitchhounds together, smashing them into a collapsing column. The man caught one mid-leap with a pivot strike from the Lionheart shield. The compact disc of steel slammed into its side like a freight disc, bouncing back to his arm with a snap. "Shield works," he muttered. But more kept coming. And then, as quickly as it had begun, the glitchhound stopped. Frozen in place. Then they blinked out of existence in perfect unison, like a file closed. The silence was immediate, total. Only the lights of the old rail station remained, buzzing faintly. The man stood there breathing hard, sword lowered, smoke curling from his jacket. Ichigo limped back to his side, eyes sharp, panting but proud. And that's when they saw it. A doorway hidden beneath the collapsed signpost, once buried in debris, now revealed by the aftermath of the fight. It shimmered, rectangular and upright, a mirror without a frame, tall as a man and glowing faintly at the edges. But the reflection wasn't of the rail station. It was something else. A kingdom. Beyond the mirror stretched rolling green hills, cobblestone towers, and ivy-draped walls. Flags with golden insignias rippled in the breeze. Knights in gleaming armor patrolled stone bridges. Lanterns glowed with firelight. Children played in market squares beneath arching trees. And above it all, a castle carved into the cliffside with waterfalls spilling around it. The people there had pointed ears, graceful features, elven. Alive. Ichigo stepped forward, ears perked, his reflection already merged into that world. But he didn't move through, he just stared. The man's hand hovered over the surface. But he didn't touch it. His breath slowed, the sword lowered to his side. They were seeing Vaylor's world. Maybe the past. Maybe a parallel. Maybe hope. He turned to Ichigo, voice low. Not yet. They stepped back. The mirror shimmered, then faded to black. Chapter 11, Tower Loop. The tower wasn't tall. It was impossible. It loomed like a virus frozen mid-corruption, a twisting spire of shattered code, ruined stone, and hovering data chunks spinning slowly in corrupted gravity. Black and green static pulsed in veins across its surface. Broken screens and CRT monitors were embedded in the stone like infected eyes, each one flickering with fragmented images of battles long past. Some of those battles were theirs. The man and Ichigo stood at its base, just beyond a jagged bridge of glitch-forged stone. The wind screamed overhead. They stepped forward, and the tower opened its gates. No mechanism, no rumble, just a sudden silent yawning void. Inside only shadows, until thunder shook the floor. The man raised his sword. Something coming. He was right. From the inner dark, two shapes emerged, towering, massive. Their bodies were bloated with corrupted muscle and bone. Their skin rippled with static bands and broken pixels. Chains dragged behind them, coated with letters in old arcade fonts. Each one stood nearly 12 feet tall. And they grinned. The one on the left had a jaw too wide, twisted like melted rubber. The other had no eyes, only a pulsing grid of red lines across his forehead. Then they spoke together, voices fused like stereo in hell. Two come, one walks, one runs, but neither leave. The jawless one chuckled. We are the brothers, we are the wall. The other slammed his fist into the ground. We do not fall. The man's heart thundered. Bosses, he muttered, figures. They moved fast. Faster than something that size should. One swung a club made of fused console parts, shattered N64 shells, crushed Genesis cartridges, and nearly took the man's head off. He ducked, rolled, countered with a slash that sparked across its arm. The troll howled. The other charged Ichigo, roaring with laughter. Little dog, little flame, let's play fetch. Ichigo blinked out of the way, reappeared behind the troll's legs, and burst upward in a vertical dash of red light. The impact staggered the beast, but not for long. Together the trolls regrouped. He slices, you burn, but we break worlds. Then they slammed their fists together. A shockwave rippled across the tower's floor, sending the man flying into a shattered terminal bank. Sparks rained. Ichigo yelped, skidding across glitched tile. They were losing. The man pushed himself up, bloody lip, gritted teeth. And then the mirror appeared. Same as before. Hovering upright, glowing soft and white. A portal. A way out. The man hesitated. Should we? Ichigo limped toward it, nodding weakly. They moved. The trolls roared behind them, gaining fast. The man dove first, Ichigo behind. White light, cold, weightless. Then, impact. Hard stone, familiar wind. They stood again. And the tower was still there. But now, they were on the other side of it. A courtyard, broken statues, a decayed version of the front gate, the same green sky above. The mirror had looped them. Tricked them. And from behind the fractured columns, the trolls stepped out again. Not copies. The same ones. Still grinning. Still breathing. Still cracking their knuckles. Round 2, fire pup. Let's see if the glitch breaks you or bends you. The man raised his sword again, disbelief melting into fury. It's not over, he growled. Ichigo's paws sparked. Behind them, the tower pulsed again, watching. Waiting. And smiling. Chapter 12, One Neck, One Roar. The courtyard was silent for a breath. Then it exploded in violence. The trolls charged again, faster this time, one with his club high, the other smashing down a rusted stone pillar as if clearing space to swing. Glitch sparks rained across the battlefield. Static burned the air. The man barely got his sword up in time to parry the first strike. The shield on his back caught the recoil with a clang that reverberated through his bones. Ichigo blinked across the courtyard, weaving between falling debris and club swings, each move leaving a red trail that burned the stone beneath him. He shot upward and struck one troll across the jaw, a blast of red energy erupting on contact. It staggered. The other bellowed, grabbing Ichigo by the scruff mid-blink. "No more tricks, little dog." But Ichigo bit down hard on its arm, a bite so fast, so white-hot, that it melted skin and code. The troll flung him away with a roar, but the damage was done. The man lunged in, slashed twice fast. The second blow drew sparks across the troll's ribcage. But they weren't winning. The trolls weren't dying. And then the portal shimmered. It flickered behind them, same ghostly mirror, same hum, but this time in the middle of the battlefield. A thought clicked. The man's eyes narrowed. "New plan," he muttered. He bolted toward the portal, not through it but past it, drawing one troll's attention. He feinted left. The eye-socketed brother turned, confused by the movement. "Running again," he bellowed. But he wasn't running. He was baiting. "Hey, brick brain," the man shouted. "Try chasing someone your own size." The second troll roared and charged, club raised. The man dashed sideways at the last second, leading him directly into the flickering portal's path. The troll fell for it. He thundered into the mirror, his upper body disappearing into the light, and emerged from the other side of the courtyard, head and shoulders poking clean out. Just as planned. The man was already there, sword sheathed, shield in hand. He raised it high, lined it up, took one breath, then brought it down on the troll's neck like an executioner. Boom! The Lionheart shield crushed glitch bone and static muscle in a single, seismic impact. The troll's scream cut off mid-roar. His body twitched, half in one world, half in another, and then shattered into a spiraling mess of code and ruin. Silence. Then, a howl. The second troll saw it. Brother, no. It charged wild now, not tactical, just rage. It swung its club like a berserker breaking stone, denting the air itself with sheer force. The man dodged twice, but the third strike grazed him, sent him spinning across the ground. His ribs cracked. Blood filled his mouth. Ichigo blinked once, staggered, eyes burning. The man saw it through the blur. Ichigo was charging up again, red line building, energy humming. The final troll roared. "I'll rip you out of the code itself." The man stood barely. "Get him close." Ichigo nodded once, eyes locked. He blinked behind the troll, barked once, loud and blurred forward in a tight circle, taunting, burning a ring of red-hot lines around the troll's feet. The beast turned, snarled, charged. Right toward the man. Sword ready, arm shaking but stance firm. Now Ichigo. The Shiba blinked upward and slammed down onto the glitch-cracked floor, triggering the heat ring. It detonated beneath the troll's legs. He stumbled. The man stepped forward and drove his sword clean into its gut, pushing through corrupted flesh and screaming code. The troll looked down, stunned, then collapsed to its knees. Its last words choked out through a broken voice channel. "We were walls." And then it shattered. Data mist drifted upward, pixel fragments catching the green sky like snow. Silence followed. The portal flickered. Still open. Still waiting. The man wiped blood from his lip, sword trembling in his grip. Ichigo limped to his side, fur still glowing faint red. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The tower loomed ahead, no longer silent. It had seen everything. And it was ready. Chapter 13, The Reformatting. They stepped inside the tower's core. It didn't feel like a room. It felt like a living heart, pulsing with data and dread. Screens embedded in the walls flickered with corrupted memories, their past fights, glitch beasts devouring cities, a boy with a red sword who never made it back. The air was cold, but it vibrated with tension, as if reality itself were pulling tight. Ichigo stepped cautiously ahead, ears back, teeth bared. The man raised his shield, breath tight in his chest. Then, the world spoke. Get out. The voice was sound incarnate, a shriek layered in digital fire, as if an entire hard drive was screaming at once. It boomed through the floor, the walls, their bones. Glitch veins erupted through the stone as the tower began to shake violently. Run, the man shouted. They turned. The tower began to implode. Chunks of glitch rock shattered from the ceiling. A scream like a dial-up modem in hell roared behind them. Static lightning cracked sideways across the walls. Ichigo blinked forward, reappearing at the crumbling threshold. The man dove out just behind him, barely clearing the collapse. Boom! The tower folded in on itself with a shuddering collapse of data and stone, sucked into a spiral of noise and light. A blast wave hurled them across the cliffside. The man slammed into the ground, skidding across broken terrain. Ichigo rolled to a stop beside him, wheezing but alive. Silence. Just the wind. And then a sound like glass breathing. They looked up. Floating in the space where the tower had stood was a mirror. Tall, wide, flickering like old film. But this was no reflection. This was a window. They stepped closer, not touching, just watching. Inside the mirror, beyond the frame, was a world of horror. A valley below a storm-racked sky, soaked in green lightning and crawling fog. An army, massive, endless, alive. Corrupted trolls with fire in their veins. Horse-sized rats dragging carts made of bones. Night beasts with no faces, armored in glitched steel. Towering lizards ridden by things that screamed backwards. Floating cubes scanning the air. Demons shaped like ancient arcade machines. Banners torn from old operating systems, symbols flickering in dead fonts. And high above them, beyond the army's reach, a floating throne built from shattered TVs, melted cartridges, and wire veins that pulsed like exposed nerves. A figure sat upon it. Shifting, smiling. Watching. The glitch master. Not theory. Not myth. Real. The mirror trembled again, and the voice returned closer now, coiling like fire around every breath. This will reboot. And then came the chant. Thousands of voices layered into one, the army crying out in unity, shaking the air. Reset. Reformat. Replace. The man stumbled back from the mirror, heart hammering. This wasn't the present. Not yet. This was a warning, a vision. He looked down at his coat, torn, smoking, and unclipped the map from his belt. It was wrinkled and blood-stained, but intact. And there, glowing faintly, newly appeared at the map's bottom corner, was a name. Aelthar's Reach. Drawn in ornate, curved lettering. A place from another world, another hope. Another warrior. The man stared for a long time, then slowly nodded. Ichigo padded up beside him, tail low, body trembling with red static. We need to find it, the man said. That place, that person. He looked to the horizon, the wind howled. The mirror behind them flickered, then vanished. We need more heroes, he said. More power-ups, more maps. We don't know when this thing attacks first or where, but when it does, He gripped the map tight. The Lionheart shield clicked softly on his back. "We'll be ready." Ichigo barked once. The man smiled. "No peace yet, but a plan." They turned from the broken earth and walked west, toward Aelthar's Reach, toward new allies, and toward the final war for the soul of their world. Final chapter, Chapter 14, The End. The woods had never felt quieter. Not even when they'd first walked through it, days ago, bruised and clueless. Now, with the tower gone and the sky barely stabilized, the air was too still, like something holding its breath. The man walked slowly, each step heavy with new purpose. Ichigo padded beside him, ears alert, breathing steady, paws whispering through fallen leaves. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. They had a name now. A place. Aelthar's Reach. And an enemy. The Glitch Master's army. The plan had taken shape in the quiet. Find more heroes, search for power-ups, track down mirrors and decode their meanings, strike before the reformatting begins. Simple. Until Ichigo stopped. The man turned just as the Shiba stumbled. "Ichigo." The dog looked up confused. His fur, usually burning with a subtle red shimmer, was flat, dull, deadened. And then the light in his paws blinked out. Gone. Like a switch flipped. Ichigo blinked, startled, and tried to step forward but stumbled again, growling low in frustration. The man knelt. "What is it, are you?" He touched his side, searching for a pulse of energy. There was none. Redline was gone. All of it. Ichigo's powers had vanished. Like they had never existed. "No, no, no," the man whispered. "Not now." His heart raced. This wasn't part of the plan. Ichigo was the plan. He was their strength, their edge. Now they were just mortal. Exposed. "Okay," he breathed. "We rethink, we slow down, we figure it out." They kept walking, deeper into the woods, dusk creeping through the canopy above. The map felt heavier now in his pocket, the name Aelthar's Reach glowing faintly, like it was watching him. Then through the trees they saw it. A building half swallowed by nature. Overgrown with vines, the windows shattered, the sign barely legible. But he recognized it instantly. Fun Zone Games. Trade-ins welcome, 5 for $10 clearance. A game store. Long gone. Forgotten. Erased by time. And yet, here it stood. The man approached slowly, heart hammering. Ichigo stayed close, silent. Inside, rows of broken shelves, toppled displays, and dusty posters lay untouched. A poster for Monster Party peeled from the wall. And then they saw it. At the back of the store. Another mirror. Upright. Waiting. Framed in darkness. It didn't shimmer like the others. It pulsed. Once. Then stilled. The man stood before it, breathing slow. Ichigo stared up at him, quiet but ready. Their powers were gone. The plan was broken. But something called them forward. The man placed his hand on the dusty counter, eyes locked with the reflection. He didn't speak. But they both knew. They had no other choice. They had to go back in. End of Book 3, Glitched Out Static Overdrive. Thank you for playing, for now. The world is fractured. The Glitch Master is far from finished. And the man and Ichigo's journey is only just beginning. What lies beyond Aelthar's Reach? Who are the lost warriors still hiding in the code? And can our heroes stop the great reformat in time? Find out in the next adventure. Love the story? Want to help us finish the fight? You can support the next adventure by grabbing a physical copy of the book on Amazon. Perfect for collectors, glitch warriors, and indie readers who want to see this saga grow. Books available now in paperback and hardcover editions. Like, follow, and subscribe for updates on new chapters. cover reveals, and exclusive behind-the-scenes lore. Every bit of support helps us keep the pixels lit and the swords swinging. Until next time, stay brave, stay glitched, and remember, power-ups can be found in the most unexpected places.